We all know death is the ultimate reality of this world. No matter how healthy a man is, he'll eventually face the truth of sleeping forever. But a high-tech lab inside of a ship in the seas of South Korea is trying to defy the world's greatest reality. Scientists from the US and South Korea have joined hands to make the human species immortal. How this experiment will horribly end is a different question. Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we'll review and recap the South Korean sci-fi thriller Seobok. Let's jump right into the video.
The movie begins with a young man with an unusual medal on his back. As a scientist injects a drug into the back of his neck, the other bunch of people wearing clean white lab coats are shown working in a highly advanced laboratory. The next scene reveals an American scientist writing a report which says, "Final report on the potential and danger of iPS cells." He is interrupted by a white bird in the cage. The man stops his work to take a break. He proceeds to open the curtains to look out of the window. An eye outside the window meets his, and suddenly an explosion demolishes everything that existed in that scene. He becomes the first scientist to be killed in this experiment. This terrorist attack might be a result of the top-secret project getting exposed. The head of intelligence and great scientists are working to protect the confidentiality of this project. A man who looks like an authoritative figure asks the scientist to shift the research lab to someplace safe. The scientist agrees to move it only if the man brings him a test subject for the clinical trial. Then the story leads us to meet the other main lead of the movie, Ji Hyun, who is an insomniac man in the late stages of brain cancer. Ji Hyun takes medical drugs to sleep. His insomnia is caused by a past trauma followed by a brain tumor. He inhaled the drug as he sat in the car by the beach. All of a sudden, the car begins to fill with water that is about to drown him. Panting heavily, he wakes up to find it was just a dream he has been seeing for days now. Later that night, he is approached by his ex-colleagues in the intelligence department. An, the head of the department, asks Ji Hyun, who once worked with him in the company, to do a job for him. Later, he will find out that An has entrusted him to be a test subject for a clinical trial.
The movie begins with so many secrets and mysteries to unfold later on. What seems like a sci-fi thriller will soon become a philosophical approach on explaining the importance of life and death, and the audience will find themselves questioning the meaning of life.
So, Ji Hyun goes to the ship where he meets Dr. Shin, who gives him a tour of the lab. Dr. Shin introduces Ji Hyun to Dr. Lim, who is in charge of the research project. Then, Dr. Lim proceeds to explain the project, which unfolds a little secret of the story. The project started 10 years ago when scientists successfully cultured the stem cells of an embryo. They inserted the stem cells into a fertilized egg, which was implanted into a womb. The specimen was created 7 months later. This specimen then grew twice the regular rate of an average human. "Who is the specimen?" asked Ji Hyun. He was met with an unexpected surprise when he found out that the specimen was a cloned human who will never die. Seobok is the immortal cloned human who will cure the brain tumor of Ji Hyun. He has different genes from humans, which makes him an undying being. With the help of this immortal species, humans will be able to conquer death. Through Seobok, humanity's desire to overcome death will be fulfilled, and Ji Hyun participates in the trial to become the first person who overcomes the ultimate truth. But immortality is not the only shocking characteristic that Seobok has. He possesses much more powerful brainwaves than humans, which helps him control the pressure of things around him, be it water, the ground, the humans, or even bullets aimed at him. This brings us back to the first scene where Seobok was injected with an unknown medical drug. The scientists were injecting him with a medical drug that inhibits rapid cell division. Seobok, being a different species than humans, needs to suppress that fast cell division every 24 hours, or he will eventually die and the project will fail.
So this immortal human clone can die without a supplement. He's not that immortal after all.
Then comes the real issue that Ji Hyun is supposed to deal with, shifting Seobok safely to another place where the authorities can protect him. Little did they know that the authorities were ready to hand Seobok over to the American scientists, but a private US military took over the operation and kidnapped Seobok and Ji Hyun and took them to an unknown warehouse. A man dressed in a military uniform tries to inject Seobok with a drug. This is where Seobok uses his power for good and the man collapses from the increased pressure around him. Ji Hyun takes charge of the container and roughly drives it to flee the warehouse. Successfully, he manages to escape along with the specimen and takes him to a safe place where they wait together for the authorities to come and get them, not aware of the fact that the authorities are planning to kill Seobok to save face. Seobok and Ji Hyun, while waiting for the intelligence officers, bond over food. Ji-hyun tells him about his brain tumor, and he is helping Seo-bak to live a little bit longer. The men from the intelligence have arrived to take Seo-bak with him. Ji-hyun opens a door for him, only to find them pointing a gun at Seo-bak. Ji-hyun tries to stop them by using his body as a shield to protect Seo-bak. The men opened fire, but this assault went against their favor as Seo-bak uses his brainwaves to divert the bullets.
Now the duo knows who not to trust with their lives.
Ji-hyun wants to go back to the lab because his life depends on it. He does not want to take any more risks with Seo-bak's life. But Seo-bak is not willing to go back where he is treated like an experiment animal. Instead, he wanted to go to Imhaeun Church in Ulsan. As the two of them traveled after the escape, the officers tried to follow them, failing this time as well. Ji-hyun takes Seo-bak to Ulsan, where Seo-bak opens up to him about his past and how he came to life. His dad got into an accident and died, so his mother, Dr. Lim, created him as an immortal being who would stay with her forever. Seo-bak cries and tells Ji-hyun that living forever is a scary idea for him, and he wants to sleep to never wake up again. Ji-hyun and Seo-bak are driving back from Ulsan. Seo-bak asks him to take him back to the lab so he could save Ji-hyun's life. Because Seo-bak has not been injected with the cell division suppressors, he is constantly throwing up blood, which scares Ji-hyun, so he tried to drive the car as fast as he could. The duo is once again met with open fires and police mobiles with loud sirens following their car. Just when the forces succeeded to stop Ji-hyun's car, they were met with bullets and armed men in giant cars protecting Ji-hyun and Seo-bak. These men are sent by the head of the research, who is also greedy for life. He wants Seo-bak alive and succeeds in bringing him back to the lab. Now we see this old man who is the authority figure in the lab. Seo-bak gets his injection, and Ji-hyun is more concerned about Seo-bak's life than his own.
The bond between the two when they met for the first time versus now has grown much stronger. This sci-fi thriller is now more about how Ji-hyun will save Seo-bak from the misery of immortality.
Ji-hyun is still in the lab when he finds out about the atrocious behavior of the scientists towards Seo-bak. They see him as a pig who is lying in the experiment lab and not a human being with feelings and emotions. Because Ji-hyun has seen the pain in Seo-bak's eyes, he no longer wants to benefit from him. But the scientists are sucking out Seo-bak's bone marrow in a painful procedure and plan to do it daily, which infuriates Ji-hyun. Meanwhile, the old man in authority is in talks with the intelligence officer, Chief An, who wants Seo-bak dead. The old man challenges Chief An to come and take Seo-bak from the research lab, but Chief An cannot do it so easily.
Why? Because the old man has recorded everything for the media. If he dies, the whole world will know about the immortality experiment, and people will investigate to find out why Chief An tried to stop the research process.
As the old man warns Chief An about the consequences of his actions, Ji-hyun attacks the researcher, Dr. Shin. Seo-bak frees himself from the tubes that sucked bone marrow out of him and finds out that Dr. Lim, his mother, is killed during the research. Furious at the world, Seo-bak becomes unstoppable as he uses his brainwaves to destroy every man who blocks his way. He goes out of the research lab where the men from the military led by Chief An await him. Seo-bak uses his unusual powers to destroy everyone around him, which eventually kills Chief An. Ji-hyun tries to stop him from killing a whole army of men. Seo-bak agrees on one condition. He will stop killing men if Ji-hyun kills him. He yearns to go back to sleep and he has no desire to live forever. After a bit of hesitation, Ji-hyun shoots a bullet at Seo-bak and the movie ends with Seo-bak saying, "Ji-hyun, I am sleepy now."
This movie is like a ride on an emotional roller coaster. While some sci-fi fans might jump right into it hoping to get a good insight on unusual scientific research, instead they'd be encountering a philosophical bond between a human clone and a real human. The story could have flourished without the bizarre turning of events, which had no real contribution to the progression of the story. This, however, leaves a greater impact on the audience's heart. The story has a lot to offer, from action-packed scenes to mysterious unfoldings of secrets to the philosophical insights on life. Nothing feels like too much to digest. It's a great watch for people new to the sci-fi genre and those who love thrillers. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload. Also, don't forget to suggest some movies that you want us to recap in the future in the comments down below.